What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie2988 coming at you live once again through the power of the internet, and it's that time of year again when we rank the best games I played this year. But keep in mind, this is a very personal list. These are the games that I most enjoyed. A game that you played that you enjoyed may not even be on the list. A critically acclaimed game that everybody else loved may not be on the list. These are the games that I personally played and that I personally enjoyed, and I hope you enjoy that very personal list. But if you do miss a game that you do love, let me know about it in the comments section. And look, I know a lot of people are going to complain that Fortnite is not on the list, but Fortnite did not even come out this year. The Battle Royale came out in September of 2017, so it can't be on the list. But I did just want to say, hey, Fortnite is a fun game. If you love that game, no harm there. Just don't get mad that it's not on the list. It's not going to be on a lot of Game of the Year's lists because it didn't come out this year, so just know that. Oh, and I do have an honorable mention as well besides Fortnite, and that's the Spyro Reignited Trilogy. And for all the controversy of not including the second and third game on the disc and all of that other stuff, I have to say, this was really well done. If I included remakes on this list this year, if I included older games that have been remade, I would probably include this and Lumines Remastered. Otherwise, yeah, great game. Just couldn't qualify for the list this year because I didn't want to put remakes on it. So starting off the list with number 10, it's Far Cry 5, and I think people are going to be surprised to see this on the list, but if you watch me stream this game on Twitch this year, you're going to know that I absolutely loved it. And look, I get it. It's just more Far Cry, but I loved the American setting. I loved the storyline. I thought it was really unique and interesting. And I know a lot of people said it wasn't political enough. It wasn't politically charged enough. But I don't play video games for that stuff. I play video games for interesting characters, interesting villains, interesting situations, and fun gameplay. And this game had all of that. I do think if you can pick this one up on sale, it's probably worth it. The DLC, not so much. But the base game, I easily got 20, 30 hours out of this base game. And I enjoyed every second of it, and I didn't even really dabble with the arcade mode. I just really enjoyed the story. It was a great single-player game. At number 9, I've included Celeste here, and I have to say, it is a very challenging game with multiple paths. You know, you can do the hard path or you can do the easier path. I'm glad they included the easier paths. And the minor storyline there, built around just mental health, is actually really interesting. So everything about this game is just kind of good. The problem with putting this on the list is I know people are going to buy these games, and I will warn you, this is a very challenging game. Even the easier options can be very challenging, though very rewarding. Think Super Meat Boy Mega Man style difficulty. This definitely has an old school difficulty feel. You're going to get angry, you're going to get frustrated. You're probably going to love it though. At number 8, we have Dead Cells, and I will admit I would have never heard about this game without the controversy surrounding the reviews. But the game itself is very high quality. And I know it was released in Steam Early Access, and normally I will not even touch an Early Access game, but I did not play this game until it officially launched, and when it officially launched, I absolutely fell in love. The gameplay was amazing, the world design was amazing, the boss fights were amazing. This is just really good. Another game I played on my Switch. This is another game that is very challenging, and the more you play it, the more challenging it can be, but there's a ton of different items to unlock, and it's another roguelike game where you play through it again and again with different items and different world experiences and different paths and things along that line. So it is fairly repetitious, but if you enjoy that kind of game, I would compare it to, say, Binding of Isaac. If you enjoy those types of games, you're going to get a lot of gameplay out of this. Now, I only beat it 2 total times, beat the end boss twice. You can beat it as many times as you want, I think, and it continues to reinvent itself until you get every item. But boy, the challenge really steps up after you beat it the first time. Again, it became very frustrating to me. So if you enjoy that kind of gameplay, I think you'll enjoy this. I do think the first playthrough is the best playthrough, and if you stop there, I think you'll be fine, though. Then at number 7, Forza Horizon 4, and I have to say I'm a huge fan of the Horizon series, though I do not like normal Forza, but this is probably one of the best yet. I mean, this is multiplayer arcade racing at its finest. I didn't play it until about a month after it came out, but I'm so glad I went back to pick it up so that I could include it on this list because it is so good. Now, you can get this for free on Xbox Game Pass if you have Xbox Game Pass, so I highly recommend downloading it. There is a lot of microtransactions built into the game, but they're not frustrating. It's just a bunch of cars that you can unlock, and you're going to get plenty of cars just by playing the game. But when it comes to arcade-style racing, when it comes to multiplayer racing, I can't think of a better example. And it takes all of the elements I loved from the first 3 Horizon games and just puts them all here, including that awesome snow DLC that we got in Forza Horizon 3. You have just the whole season idea, and it's really, really innovative and interesting and cool. And it's just a great remix of the series. It is more of the same, but with a little bit of innovation. And I just, if you like arcade racers, you can't play a better one than this. At number 6, I included Detroit Become Human, and this is a great game with a great storyline, but not very good gameplay. It is very much an interactive movie, but the gameplay constitutes some fail states, obviously, and it does constitute a fair amount of choice making, and the way that you make these choices is going to vary how the game plays out and what happens to the characters that are involved in the game. So it's a game by a loose definition. Some people will call it a walking simulator. Some people will call it an interactive movie, and that is a fair accusation to be made. It's still really interesting nonetheless. One of the cool parts about this game is you don't even have to buy it and play it yourself. You can watch other people play it, and in fact, I did buy it, I did play it, and then I watched other people play it as well because I wanted to see how their gameplay and their choices affected the game differently. And it was very surprising. It was very interesting to see how other people got other endings and other choices and other outcomes. And that alone, I think this is a game that you can easily just watch because it's such an interactive movie. But I think if you don't want to play it for yourself, you should absolutely watch somebody play it. Watch a few different people play it because you'll get to see a lot of different content. And overall, the idea behind the game is very good. The story is very, very good. It's got some pretty unique turns and twists, and I just really overall enjoy the game. Graphically, it's one of the most beautiful games to come out this year, but that makes sense because it's not like you're trying to do fast action. You're just kind of doing extended cutscenes. At number 5, we have Octopath Traveler, which is a love letter to just old 8-bit or 16-bit RPG games. If this looks on the screen right now like an old school Final Fantasy game, it is meant to look like that. But it does kind of repeat the formula while innovating on it a little bit as well. And look, if you don't like turn-based JRPGs, you're not going to like this game, and I understand that some people are going to balk at this being on the list, but I love that style of gameplay. I love that old school, Persona 5, but also like old school Final Fantasy style gameplay. I just really enjoy it. And this game is grindy, so there's a ton of stuff to do, but a ton of monsters to capture, a ton of monsters to explore, 8 different classes that change the way you play the game. Then there's the job system so that you can dual class, and then there's the interesting storylines based on all 8 of the characters. And I think that's probably the weakest point of the game, that the storylines are not always that interesting and they don't interweave or interact enough to really like bring the entire game home. But you will get about 70 or 80 hours of grinding in this game. So if you enjoy the gameplay, there's plenty of gameplay here. And since it's on the Nintendo Switch, it's easy to travel with it, so you can do it in your off time, when you're riding in a car or when you're waiting on a bus or whatever it is you need to do. But overall, just a very, very solid love letter to the old school JRPGs. They don't make them like this anymore. I'm glad they did. And even though it just came out at the beginning of this month, I'm still including it on the list. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is absolutely amazing. And if you don't like Smash Brothers, you don't like fighting games, you're not going to like this. But if you do, if you've ever even dabbled with it as a party game, there is so much content here, including a stupidly giant roster with a stupid number of places to play, a lot of different game modes, including the Spirit mode, which I thought I was going to hate and I've really enjoyed. The downside of this game is online play still needs a lot of work. It seems like they really don't understand server architecture, so sometimes it works perfectly and sometimes it's just miserable. And of course, you have to pay for the Nintendo $20 a year service to be able to play this game online. That's the one small blight on an otherwise perfect fighting game. I honestly don't think you can make a better fighting game than this. Keeping in mind, of course, that this does have a fairly cool party feel to it. It's not a super serious fighter, and if you take it that way, I think you'll be frustrated and irritated. You're better off playing something like Dragon Ball FighterZ or something along that lines. That said, what a fun game. I cannot put this down. I am playing it literally every day, a couple of hours a day. I'm playing it when I'm supposed to be sleeping. Love it. Just love it. You got to get this game. At number 3 is the new Spider-Man game for PlayStation 4. And I know this game had a controversy based on, the graphics downgrade and stuff along that lines. I don't care. The graphics were absolutely gorgeous, absolutely beautiful, and the gameplay was absolutely amazing. I do know it feels a little bit like it borrows a lot from other series and other games, and there's a lot of quick time events, people who don't like that kind of thing. But as a Spider-Man story game, it is very good. The combat is fun, the city to explore is fun, just everything about it is fun. I still need to go back and play the DLC, but the base game, I played it in its entirety. I streamed it in its entirety. That's a pretty big rarity for me to play a game live entirely. All 20 hours of it. I just couldn't put it down. The puzzle solving isn't great, but it's mostly skippable, and it's alternative content and stuff. But when it comes to the suit unlocking system, the power system, the gadgets, this gameplay, the story mode, the web slinging, the city exploration, the boss fights, everything is pretty great. I guess probably my only real gripe is that the storyline does fit the Marvel formula quite a bit, and there are those stupid stealth scenes that are not perfect. It's not a perfect game. And there's plenty of things that you will gripe about, but the game is engaging enough and big enough and fun enough and Spider-Man-y enough to where I'm just going to love this game, and I had to put it very high on the list. One of the best games I played this year. It's one I will remember for the rest of my life. Easily one of the hardest games to forget for 2018. You should play it. And then, of course, we all saw this one coming in, at least in the number 2 spot. Red Dead Redemption 2. Mostly focusing here on the single player because the multiplayer does have some aspects that I do want to gripe about. But when it comes to the single player game, there is so much content here, so much to do, such a deep and interesting world. It's just such an incredible bang for your buck. And when it comes to following the Rockstar formula, it definitely does. If you don't like the Grand Theft Auto formula, then you're not going to like Grand Theft Auto with horses. But I do like that formula, so I like this game a lot. What an incredible storyline. And when it comes to single-player games, you just don't get single-player games like this anymore. The actual gameplay itself does leave a lot to be desired sometimes. The fast travel system is almost non-existent and fairly frustrating. It's only on consoles, so you have to play with a controller. That really should be a PC version of the game. Some people are frustrated with the auto-aim, and yes, it's still got that Rockstar engine feel, so it is clunky from time to time. There's a lot of life improvement things that could be made to this game, and I hope that they do them eventually. But the game is well worth putting up with those minor flaws. When it comes to the online game, it does look like it's going to be another cash grab, just like Grand Theft Auto 5 Online was, and that's kind of frustrating and kind of irritating, but there's a lot of gameplay there, including quests and storylines that you can do in the open world, which is kind of new to the formula, and I highly welcome that. Playing online is still kind of frustrating because of the survival aspects, because of the money management issues, and how difficult it is to unlock the high-end stuff. That's even before they start patching it with seasonal content or DLC. But overall, the fact that you get the multiplayer for free along with your price of paying to play the single-player game, I think it's still well worth it. But the single-player version of this game is absolutely amazing. It's not perfect. It maybe deserved the number 1 slot, but let me explain my number 1 slot instead. God of War takes my number 1 spot. And it's not just because the game is graphically beautiful, and it's not just because it's a sequel in a series that I absolutely love, and it's not just because the storyline is absolutely fantastic, or the gameplay feels good, and the combat is great, and the boss fights are amazing. I mean, there's just so much about this game that's just beautiful. But let me really tell you why this game made the most memorable and my favorite game of the year. I love how they took the almost completely impervious, unkillable, absolutely incredible Kratos and gave him a weakness. And in a lot of ways, that weakness is the love of his wife and the love of his son, which was an incredibly beautiful way to make this character vulnerable and more interesting and more fun and just more intriguing. But what really sets this game apart for me is that it's the first game I played right after I came out of the serious issues I was having this year with the gastric bypass surgery and getting divorced and stuff along that lines. And I don't want to bring all that stuff back up. But when I played God of War originally, and when it launched at the beginning of the year, I just couldn't get into it. I don't know what it was. I played 8 hours of it and just ground through it and just didn't fall in love with the game. But after traveling and after doing a bit of healing, I put this game back in, and just before they released the new Game Plus mode. And I played through the game in its entirety again, and then even dabbled with the new Game Plus because I finally got it. I felt it. I fell in love with the kid. I fell in love with Kratos. I fell in love with the game. I fell in love with the gameplay mechanics and the world and the story and everything else. And this was the first game I played since I healed, since I started getting better. So not only is it just a high quality game and a really fun game at that, but it's a game I'm never going to forget because watching Kratos be vulnerable reminded me it was okay that I was so vulnerable, and it just really brought the entire experience home for me. Maybe Red Dead Redemption 2 is the better value for your dollar. Maybe it is the bigger game. Maybe it is more fun. I don't know. Here's what I will tell you. This is a game I will never, ever forget. I loved playing it. I'll probably play it again just because of how good it is. So there we go. There's my top 10 games with a little bit of gameplay and a little bit of footage and a little bit of explanation as to why they are my favorite games. Now, there's plenty of games like The Messenger that did not make this list, and I will probably make a second list at some point talking about the games that did not make this list that were still plenty good and a lot of fun. And of course, you still have to look forward to the worst games of the year or the worst gaming experiences or the worst controversies. There's still plenty of top lists for you to enjoy. So if you do enjoy this type of content, do me a favor, click a subscribe on the subscription button. Hit that notification bell if you want to be one of the first people to see my videos, and rushing to these videos really helps my videos perform well here on YouTube, and I really would appreciate it if you did. I hope you enjoyed the content, and if you did, let me know in the comments section below, and let me know what games you think should have been on the list that were not. I'm guessing Monster Hunter World. Guys, as always, thanks for watching. I love you very much, and I'll speak with you again soon.